Hey y'all, I'm JamesWright and welcome back to Wizards News. We are talking about Portkeys today. The big question on everyone's mind, is it better to pick any particular Wrackspurt? Are some better than others? I don't know. We've been collecting a lot of data and now we're going to finally dive in and answer this question. Which Wrackspurt should I pick? Okay, before we get into this, I have to say this is going to be a longer than normal video because there is an incredible amount of information here. I'm going to be going into a lot of detail about how do Portkeys actually work, what Wrackspurts are better, and how does it actually calculate throughout the whole thing. There is an immense amount of information in this, and I'm going to skim through a lot of it, and I'm going to have all the resources down below. So if you want to go look at the raw data and all that information, go through it and see if you can find your own conclusions, and maybe you might be able to find some information in there that I missed as well. I do want to say an incredible thank you to everyone who submitted a Portkey to this. I could not have done it without you. This was an amazing amount of information collated and sent to me. I've spent well over 12 hours in the last 3 days compiling this information and watching Portkey after Portkey after Portkey video, as well as those of you who sent in data sheets. Incredible amount of information. Thank you for that. Also, on top of that, I have to say a huge thank you to the Wizards News HiveMind Discord server. We had a few things on there where I sent them and say, hi, how do I do this in spreadsheets? And several of them were able to hop on and help me out with that. An amazing community and being able to help make this all possible, so thank you for that. This all started a couple weeks ago when I did a video about several things that most people don't know about Portkeys. And that started a bunch of other questions. So I decided to actually do something about it and do some research. With the help of several people on the HiveMind, we were able to start creating these Portkey maps. And once we started getting more data into this and finding out where all the Wrackspurts are, then we could actually label them all. And then once we had them labeled, then we could actually start collecting data about these Wrackspurts. So to the best of my knowledge, these are all of the Wrackspurts, though I would assume that there might actually be one or two more in here that I haven't found yet or I haven't seen someone actually click. If you do know of one that's not on here, please let me know and we'll search into it. So I wanted to take a quick look at these maps, which you can actually go to on my website. I'll leave a link to those down below in the description. In Hagrid's Hut, most of them are very visible, with the exception of A. If you're not in AR, you can't see that one. It's actually underneath the table. But if you click right here on this spot of the table, you'll be able to click it even when you're not in AR. Also over here with S, there's one inside the trunk that a lot of people don't know about. Now, not all of these Portkeys are there all the time. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. And so you have to click on the spot and see if you can find it. In Borgin and Burks, there are a ton of hidden Portkeys. This one you can see from AR. Number F, you can actually see it underneath the desk or reaching over the desk. D, you cannot see. C, you can only see it speckle a few times. I, you can never see unless you get on a ladder and poke your head through the roof. M is inside a cauldron. L is inside a cauldron. P is inside the cabinet. R, where you're clicking on the face, it's actually behind this beam over here, and you can see it sometimes when you're in AR. And then S is actually behind T, so you can't get to S unless you click through T. Unless you're in AR, then you can move over far enough and you can get to S without clicking through T. Now, J right here is one that I'm not 100% sure about. I've had a lot of people tell me there is a Wrackspurt in J, but I haven't actually seen one there. And I would love to find out for sure. If you do have proof that one is there, please let me know. But I think a lot of people are actually getting it confused with G on this one. In the bellows here, there is one for sure. But in this one, I don't know for sure, but I put it in there just to check it out. So then next we can move on down to Ollivanders, and this is a fun one. I originally did not know of many hidden ones in this, but they really are all over the place. This particular one over here in U, I saw it one time in one person. I haven't seen it ever again. So this is one I'd love to get more research on and confirm that it wasn't just a mix-up in the video that I got, but someone actually clicked right here and got one once. There's also one in the cabinet down here with P. There's one inside the light here. There's one in the stairs. There's one up here on the stairs. There's one in the back room here, one in the back room here, one in the cabinet, and then one underneath the desk here. So most of these you can't actually see unless you're in AR, but if you're not in AR, you can click on these particular places on the map, and that will get you the Wrackspurt if it's there. And last, we're going to come down to Honeydukes, and this one was a little bit surprising. I was expecting to find some hidden ones in here, but there really weren't that many hidden ones. P is slightly hidden underneath the skeleton's hat. He'll lift it up and put it down, but the rest of them are all fairly obvious. O, I actually need to move this one. It isn't right here. It's above the cauldron. But some people were telling me it was in the cauldron. I haven't actually gotten any inference that there is one in the cauldron. I've never actually seen that. So if you see one that's in the cauldron and not above the cauldron, please let me know that as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's something else in here, but this is all I know of right now. So if you do look at this map, all of these come to the letter U. And then if you come to this map, all of these come to the letter U. And then if you come to this map, all of these come to the letter U. And if you look at this map, they all come to S. And that makes me wonder, are there 2 more that I'm missing out of this map? Or is there something different? So I'd love to know if you have information on that. These are all available on my website, and so you can go there and download them all and have them for reference. Have fun clicking on these and finding new spots. So now onto the meat of this game. Let's actually go up here and go to the spreadsheet. This is the data that I have thus far on all the Portkeys. So you can see here for Hagrid's Hut, we opened up 120 Portkeys for Hagrid's Hut. For Borgin and Burke's, it was just over 100, so we have 108. Ollivanders, I didn't get quite as many as I wanted. I only got 33 of those. And then Honeydukes, because it's a little newer, we got 30 of those. So I don't have as much data as I really like to have for Ollivanders and Honeydukes particularly. There's a lot that's missing. And so it's not the best data in the world. Even with Hagrid's and Borgin and Burke's, yes, I have over 100 Portkeys in here, but really to have a solid connection of knowing exactly what's going on, I would have to graph over 1,000 of them. And since I did this much in 12 hours, that's 1/10 of what I would need. I don't really have 120 hours to put into this right now. Maybe in the future, but what we are seeing with this data is it is enough to give us a fairly clear idea of what is going on. Yes, it's not 100%. It is not something that is statistically perfect. There is a lot of variance in the statistics here, but there is enough that we can say this is probably the way it works. And I was trying to find a way to balance 4 things. Number 1, the location. Was it in Borgin Burke's, Honeydukes, or whatever? Number 2, which Wrackspurt was picked? Number 3, which order of Wrackspurt? Was it the first one, second one, third one, or fourth one? Does that matter? And then number 4, what did you get from those items? And unfortunately, in a graph, it's 2-dimensional, so I can't do 4 dimensions there. So I have a page for each location. Well, that takes one of it, but I still have a 3-dimension I have to get in there. And so there's a little bit of complication in this to actually make sure that we get all of those in there, but I just want to clarify that before we go any farther. So in order to do that, I broke it up into columned columns. So we have here, these first 3 are the first Wrackspurt that was picked in every Portkey, and this one is the second Wrackspurt that's picked, and these 3 are the third Wrackspurt that are picked. And so in here you have each separate column set being the first Wrackspurt, second Wrackspurt, third Wrackspurt, and so on. And then on each one of these, the first one it gives the letter. And then in each of these, it gives the letter of the Wrackspurt that was clicked, the reward that was gotten, and then the value of what that actually was in the game. I'll be getting to that value in a moment because that's very, very important to how this works. So the first thing is the reward. There are 3 types of things you can get. Number 1, you can get a potion ingredient, and that is put here with a P. So if we got 1 potion ingredient, it was 1 P. Number 2, you could get family XP. So you can see right here in this top one, we got 10 family XP. So that's F for family XP. And then number 3, you can get Wizarding XP. And so that's put down here with XP. And then a little while later, I just got smart and put X because I was entering so many of them, I didn't want to put the P on there. So I should probably go back and clean them all up. But for right now, there's XP on some and X on others. And then I was racking my brain about how exactly do I go about valuing what is in there. And I thought, what is the lowest integer that you can get of each individual item? So if you get 1 potion ingredient, that's 1 point. But if you get 10 family XP, is that 1 point? Is that 10 points? Is that 5 points? How do you actually go about doing that? And I figured out what is the lowest possible integer you can get in each one. And in Hagrid's Hut and Borgin and Burke's, the lowest integer you can get of family XP is 5. And so 5 family XP equals 1 point. The lowest integer you can get of regular Wizarding XP is 50. So 50 Wizarding XP is 1 point. And we went from there. So in the first column, if I got 10 family XP, that means it was worth 2 points. If I got 1 potion, that means it was worth 1 point. If I got 100 XP, that means that's worth 2 points. I hope that's making sense to you. Then the next problem is when you get multipliers. So if you get XP a second time, it doubles it. And if you get XP a third time, it triples it. If you get it 4 times, it quadruples it. And so each time you get 100% more of the item that you get. And I didn't want that to mix up. I wanted to keep the values the same so that you knew what you got at every Wrackspurt. To actually test, is one Wrackspurt giving something that is better than other Wrackspurts? So for the sake of values in the sheet, this value number does not take the multiplier into consideration. For example, up here on the top listing, we have 10 family XP, which is worth 2 points. And then we got 1 potion, which is worth 1 point. And the next one, we got 2 potions. Well, because we got a second one, that means that it's going to be doubled for the next time. So that means it's only 1 point. So I'm not taking that into consideration. It was only a 1 value click on that Wrackspurt. And then next one, we come over here to 10 family XP, exactly the same as we got on this one. But in this case, because it's doubled, it's only worth half. So it's only 1 point for 10 family XP, even though back here with 10 family XP, it's worth 2 points. I know this is really going to confuse a lot of people, but it is incredibly important that we remove the multiplier so we can get at the raw data underneath it. And that is what this point value is. This is the raw data you got from clicking on that particular Wrackspurt. So next we can come up here and total up this one Portkey. And first he clicked B, and then G, and then O, and then E, and then D, and so on. And you can actually see the total value of this was a 13. And that's actually a pretty decent Portkey. So that was the value points of this all added together equal 13. And that comes out to 1 potion ingredient that he picked up, 10 family XP, and then 800 wizarding XP. And those were the total benefits before Barufio's Brain Elixir that he got out of this. And then you can see this for every Portkey that we've gotten so far all the way down here. Now, as to the value point, I wanted to see how often each of the value points came through. And so we put those all over here in a chart. And all the time we realized we only got a 1, a 2, or a 6. And then occasionally we get one that's greater than 6, and we'll talk about that one here in a moment. But you had one of 3 options that you always got. You either got a value point of 1, you got a value point of 2, or you got a value point of 6. We've graphed those all out here on the chart on the side here. You can see 1 was about 68% of the time, 2 was about 22% of the time, and then 6 was a little over 4, almost 5% of the time. And then we had this one weirdo down here, which I put anything larger than 6, and there were 3 of those, and those you can see here in red. And these were the big outstanding dumps. And I don't know what caused this. They happened 3 times out of the 100 Portkeys that I looked at in Hagrid's Hut. And they were very, very big. And you can see they had a points value of 20. So each one of these came out to being a total of 20. Like this one here is 2,000 XP because it was the second XP picked. If it was the first one, it would have only been 1,000. And then this one down here was 3,000 because it was the third XP Wrackspurt picked. So every now and then, apparently it dumps in a Wrackspurt that is a 20 value, which is a massive windfall, especially if it's picked later and picked after picking another XP output. And this only came on XP outputs. Now there's a few of these that look a little bit odd, and I put those here in this light color here, and this looks like a 1200, and wow, that would be a big dump, but it's really only a value of 6, so it follows with all the other ones. It's either a 1, a 2, or a 6. The reason it's so big is that this one was the 4th XP to be picked, so it is multiplied by 4. So originally it would have only been a 300 XP, but multiplied by 4, that brings it up to 1200. So even though it looks big, it's still a value 6 Wrackspurt. Now one of the other oddities happened in Borgin and Burks. The reason I have a 3 here in the category is that there was one 3 that popped out, and that's somewhere over here. And I believe this one was operator error because this one was actually a sheet that was sent to me, and the person had a 15 family value in there, and I don't know exactly how that came about. So I'm assuming this was written in there wrong. I'm guessing it is 10. But as far as I know, that is the only real oddity in here, but I'm pretty sure that's just an operator error why there is one with a 3 in here. So Borgin and Burks and Hagrid's Hut are exactly the same. They all come with either 1, 2, 3, or sometimes a 20 will pop in there. And they all work out the exact same way, and they all have pretty close to the same. 68, 22, and then almost 5. We come over here, and it's 65, 23, almost 5. So really close numbers, all within the margin of error and how those come out. But then when we hop over to Ollivanders and then to Honeydukes, things change a little bit. But these two are both basically the same. So just as Hagrid's and Borgin and Burks are the same, then Ollivanders and Honeydukes are the same. The big difference with Ollivanders and Honeydukes is they don't come in 1, 2, or 6. In this case, they come in 3, 4, or 6. So you have a 3, which would be your low value most of the time for family XP or wizarding XP. And then you have a 4, and that is your potion ingredients. Potion ingredients always come in 4s, just like in the other two, Borgin and Burks and Hagrid's, they always came with 1. In this, potion ingredients always come in 4s. So if you're going to get a potion ingredient, you're going to get 4 of them. And then it goes up as multipliers. So if you get 2 different potion ingredients, the second one you're going to get 8, and the third one you're going to get 12, and the fourth one you're going to get 16, and so on. They always come in integers of 4. But the family XP and the wizarding XP, those can come in integers of 3 and 6. And then every now and then you get these weirdos that go really high. The family XP can bump up to 16, and the wizarding XP can bump up to 18. And we see this in both Honeydukes and in Ollivanders. And for some reason, we got a lot more in Ollivanders, where the Wizarding XP or the Family XP bumped up higher. So I'm not sure if that, I'm guessing it's just due to low sample size, because you can see up here there were a lot where we didn't get anything really high, and then there were a cluster of ones where we did get high, so I'm guessing it's just a sample size difference. And then here is another one that's in light, where it was just a simple 6, but because it was later on and it was after several other XPs, it was bumped up to a really high number. And holy cow, that was a really nice Portkey with a total value of 33. Whew, that's a nice one. So this is how you can go through and read this and see into each individual Portkey, each individual click, what the values are, what the totals are, what the averages are. The other big thing I wanted to look at are what were the Wrackspurts that were clicked. And so in here I actually went through and categorized all the Wrackspurts, and you have them listed out here in the middle columns. So A was clicked 9 times. That gives it a value of 5.6 on average. Now, these numbers here, there just weren't enough of them to really get a good, clean sample size. Like on this one, G, I got a value of 7. So, wow, that one looks like it's a much better one. So I should always pick G, right? Well, no, it just so happened that G twice got a big haul from 2 of these. So it got a fairly high points value. And because it's such a sample size, such a small sample size, it's just not a good rendering of it. Also, here I have the first click column. I wanted to see if there was any difference, because if you click one Wrackspurt and back out, what would you get in that? And so in this case, the first click, I had those brought out, which ones were clicked first and which ones weren't. So you can see a lot of these were never clicked first in any of the tests that I had, but you can see that they all break out to about the same, somewhere between 22 and 28. So I don't think picking the first one is really going to make much difference. Yes, there is this one weirdo way out here, but that was just one click, and so you can't really pull anything from that. In Hagrid's and Bergen and Bork's, the numbers are a little bit better and a little bit easier, and here you can see they're much, much flatter. You aren't seeing any major standouts. So I really don't think that there is a better Wrackspurt to click. They all look to be just about the same in quality. So yeah, I don't think there's anything to picking any one particular Wrackspurt. Pick the first 5 you come to and you'll be getting the best chance. Also, down at the end of the chart, I wanted to break out what the individual clicks. So what is the average value of all the first click? What's the average value of all the second clicks? And so you can come down here and look at those. And those all tend to be fairly similar. Yes, there's a little bit of flexibility, but there's not that much in value difference between them. So I don't think there's any difference between clicking 2 and leaving and clicking 5 and leaving. Though I do want to do more research on clicking 1 and then leaving and actually tracking that. So if anyone out there can click 1 and list everything that they got. So what you have to do is take pictures of your XP and all of your potion ingredients, and then all of your family XP and challenge XP, know where you're all at, do a Portkey, and then go back in and see what has changed, and then record that, and then do another Portkey, and then go back in and see what's changed, and record that. And if anyone can do that and send that information to me, I do want to actually do a comparison between picking one Wrackspurt and backing out, and doing all 5 of them. So hopefully I'm going to be collecting that information here soon, but not yet. So I'm going to leave a link to this spreadsheet down below, as well as a link to all the Portkey maps. I want people to dive into this information and take a look at it and see if anything's popping out. Is there anything different to you? The more people look at it, the better. And I'd love to see if there's any theories out there. One theory I heard is that those really big number clicks are for the first time you've clicked a particular Wrackspurt, in which case it might be very good to go look at all those maps and make sure you've clicked every Wrackspurt at least once. I don't think that that's the possibility, but who knows? So as of right now, to me, it appears that it is pretty much random about which one you click. There is no Wrackspurt that is better than another. Hidden ones do not produce anything better than non-hidden ones. It's just kind of a fun thing to go around and try and find all the Wrackspurts out there. And I would love to see if there are any that I have not found. Let me know those and I'll add them to the map. So if you see anything in this data that I haven't seen, I'd love to hear that, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What other tests would you like me to do? I'm really looking forward to compiling the test of clicking one Wrackspurt and backing out and comparing it to all of these. So if anyone can add that information and send that to me, that would be phenomenal, and I would love to be able to get that out. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please let me know down below. Let me know your thoughts, your ideas. I really do enjoy reading through those, and I get a lot of my ideas for videos from that. If you did like it, please hit like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell, all those fun things. They really do help out the channel, and they mean a lot to me, so thank you for that. Also, I do want to say a huge thank you to the patrons on Patreon. You are the reason why I can do big data chunks like this and dump in 12 hours to just crunching a spreadsheet. So thank you for that. If you'd like to help out with that, patreon.com, there is a link down below, and that really helps out the channel. Thank you. I think that's about for now, and until next time, have a magical day. Time for a chocolate frog. And after doing all this data, I really hope that I get something good, because today we got today today we got Albus Dumbledore. Oh, that's perfect.